In today's fast-paced real estate landscape, success demands more than surface-level expertise. It requires insight, adaptability, proven strategies, discipline, and the ability to take risk. The Agent Brew podcast blends candid conversations with wisdom from industry leaders who've walked the path before you. Think of us as your strategic pit stop to fuel your real estate journey. From the crossroads of the world in the heart of Times Square, welcome to Agent Brew, a podcast that percolates real estate insights. I'm your host, Eric Zollinger of Realty Co. Welcome to our viewers and listeners. Thank you for coming for another episode of the Agent Brew, where we have casual conversation with industry leaders that have walked the path before you, and they share their wins, their strategies, their insights, and then we end with something fun, advice that you would give your young agent self. So this week, I'm very excited to be able to bring a good friend of mine and former colleague from Douglas Elliman. We have Sarah Burke from Compass here in New York City. Welcome, Sarah.
Hi, Eric. Thanks for having me.
So good to see you. And I always like to start each podcast with, how do I know this week's guest? I mentioned earlier, we worked together at Douglas Elliman, development marketing back in the day. And I was one of your biggest fans. I was so impressed every week when we sat around the big table for our weekly meeting, and like you represented Brooklyn, and just your expertise and how each week you just were ready to go. And the way you ran your projects, I was always impressed with. And I must say, my favorite project, one of my favorite projects of all time, you are looking at the managing director, 40 Bleecker.
Oh, favorites. Oh, it's one of my favorites. I shouldn't say I have a favorite, but that is one of my favorites.
So if you could, with that project, and we'll probably visit in greater detail later in the episode, if you could start with your elevator pitch,
Okay.
Who are you today and your business? And then from there, we'll go into your backstory, your origin story, and how all those pieces fit together.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see, my elevator pitch. Okay. So I am a New York City licensed associate broker, former executive, specializing in luxury new development and high-end residential sales. Over the past couple decades, 2.5 of them, I've led the marketing and sales of some landmark projects across Manhattan and Brooklyn. The sales teams from the Edge in Williamsburg to 40 Bleecker Street in NoHo. And I believe in blending data-driven strategy, creative branding, and I like to have a deep understanding of lifestyle-driven buyer demand.
25 years.
I think 26 now, but yeah.
So we're in the same boat, 26. I started in 1999 at Corcoran as an assistant before teams were even ever a thought. Right. And so the market's changed a lot. And I love having somebody sitting in the chair next to me that's endured as long as I have and seen a lot of changes. So I know I didn't pose this question before, but what do you see as the biggest thing that's changed in real estate over the decades?
Oh, gosh. I mean, I think the formation of teams is a pretty big shift.
Well, I mean, it changes everything from brokerages to actual teams, right? Because now it's the teams that are required to do the education that really...
It's shifting the owners from the broker to the team leaders and
right.
to the team, I guess, what would you call them? The heads of the team. But it's an interesting time. I think, like, I've been using an analogy, though, that it seems like everybody's trying to financially... what's the right word to say, opportunize every moment of the transaction. And the analogy I used lately is, it seems like everyone wants a little slice of the pie, and we keep trying to take little slices off of it, but the pie has always been a 9-inch round pie tin. So it's the same size. And people have asked me lately, like, wow, somebody wanted to go into real estate right out of college. And I looked at them and said, wow, why?
Right.
It's a different day and age now. But I do think that that, and then Instagram / like the $1 million listing, bringing the deal to the big screens, right?
Right.
Medium-sized screens, has given people insight into the transaction that they never had before. So I think people get curious and they like to look at other people's homes, of course, too. And then, it's fascinating. It is. It's not easy putting deals together. It's always hard when somebody decides to not go through with the deal. And then it's extreme happiness when the deal is done.
Right? Because you're only paid when that deal closes.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean you don't go through heartache and frustration for many deals that never go through fruition.
Yes. And you can work also, especially when you're in development, as you know, for years sometimes on something before you actually see payday. It's an endurance and it's a love, I say.
It has to be a passion.
It does.
In real estate agents, when we started 25 years ago, you didn't have this budget that you need to cram operations, sales, social media, marketing, business development. There's a lot of onerous on team leaders. So how have you been able to switch from being, in-house senior management and executive for running projects and really shepherding those to being an agent that's out there pounding the pavement?
So I still focus on my project work.
Okay.
That when I left, I call like that executive leadership side and went back onto the brokerage side, I made a very, I kept telling myself, do great work with good people and you will succeed and you will write well. And then do what you love most. And then that will also help lead you in the right direction. I don't have my own formal team per se, because every project I work on
has a collaboration.
And it's a unique skill set. Like there might be a location. It might be that it's a conversion. It might be that it's, trying to achieve a certain price point. And I do believe in pulling together like the right team, sales, pre-development, the designer, the marketing, everything that it doesn't always follow the same group as I guess.
Right.
Got it.
So what would you say is your biggest challenge today in delivering a project?
Well, the hardest thing I think right now is because everyone is on a team, right? That when you're trying to kind of pull a person from a team, you don't want to actually disrupt the team, of course.
Right.
But so there's those kind of challenges. And I think that just generally that everything is sort of on Instagram and on camera now that, you kind of say like, do people really want to see all the back end? Do people really want to see how this building is being built? I don't know.
Well, you're creating a lifestyle, right? That's what you're selling is the end of lifestyle, not necessarily. Exactly. One of my greatest lessons in my career when I was at Related was doing One Madison, bringing it out of bankruptcy. We were the fourth set of agents, Leslie and I, and you're bringing them through a lobby that's still under construction, is halfway done and not. So any chance of setting the scene and the smoke and the mirrors and the glitter and rainbows that get completely destroyed when they go up, and then it's not a finished unit when you're trying to see things. And so it's really about curating that lifestyle, creating the image of what you want, and then just keeping them there.
And then the buyer experience of how to get them in the door and what they're seeing when they get there and how to handle objections. I actually was just on the phone, someone had called me. I'm in pre-development on some stuff, in construction phase and some stuff. And they were like, oh, is there any way I could bring somebody in? And I was like, listen, do they have vision? How long have you been working with this person? And as I talked to them, they're like, oh, actually, this is not the time to take it. You're right. I need a finished product for this group, or at least a finished apartment.
But many times people will get upset with you because they just see one vision only of what they want. And they don't realize that everything is a strategy and that you're planning and plotting to get to that end result. So it may mean you don't go for the first 6 months.
Yeah.
Right. So it
might. And it also means, I said, sometimes people ask me like, oh, is there inventory that you're like hiding? I always say like, no, there's no hidden anything anymore. Right. No, there's no hidden inventory, but sometimes there's release strategy and things like that we do.
So it's managing the expectations of everyone.
Yes.
On both sides of the deal, but it's strategic, but it's necessary in order to bring the project to fruition.
Yes. And I think people also there's like banks and lenders and construction loans and all the sorts of fun stuff that happens along the way before we ever actually get to bring a fire in the door. And how to walk people through, we have to sell a dream,
Right.
sell a vision, sell something that does not exist yet.
And sometimes the stars all align through marketing and creating the journey and
market conditions and timing and like the unicorns and rainbows kind of on the opening day party and like perfect weather. Yeah. Low interest rates are great. Those are always fun. Although
those are great markets, right? We've lived through several of those.
They were fun.
They were great. I miss those days. But why real estate? Why choose this wild and crazy industry?
I think real estate found me in many ways. My mother was a real estate broker.
Really? So where did you grow up?
I grew up in Connecticut in a lovely idyllic town called New Canaan.
Okay.
And when I was in third grade, she went back to work, and she had been a nurse before and said, I can't do nursing anymore with kids. Real estate, flexibility. And then also she had some good friends who happened to be in the business. And I say it's like the most perfect opportunity time. 2 kids in school. She was, I think, number 1 agent several times over the first 5 years that she went into the business. So that was my first experience. She had me do an open house, sign in for a broker open house. I remember her first one, and she made me like wear white gloves, and I got dressed up and I asked everyone to sign in, please, because it was paper. Sign in on paper. And then they also gave me my first job as the weekend receptionist in high school. And part of my job, we talk about like MLS and what's going on with all the world. I used to have to print out the MLS listings and put them in the binders.
Wow.
And it was on special paper. Like there was special paper with preparation. And it was like a big deal to do. And all the brokers were always waiting for me to finish this up. It was like twice a week that the new stuff came in and you had to update the books. So that was my first real estate thing. But how I really got licensed was in college. A good friend of mine who went to NYU, Tish, went to be an actor, as many people do. And
I didn't realize we shared that.
I think I remember talking to you about this once, because I think that they make great brokers.
100%.
We're taught to listen.
We're taught to listen also about rejection.
Yes. And rejection, we can let it pull off from that.
Exactly.
But so my dear, dear friend who had been in college with me and also an actor, I ran into him in the train and he goes, "Oh my gosh, you'll never guess. I'm working as a real estate broker now. It's great because I can still audition. I still can do theater if I want, but it's been really wonderful. And it's great because I don't have to bartend or anything." I was like, this sounds great. Like tell me all about it or whatever. But it turned out that another friend of ours needed to find a place. So I said, "Oh, hey, we should call Randy." So we called Randy. We walked into the office. It was like young, fun, cool. It looked like something out of a movie at the time. It was like, "Does anyone know I need a 2-bedroom in Gramercy?" And someone across the room was like, "I need something down in Fidei. Do you have a 1-bedroom for $4,000? And I was like, "Wow, what do you have to do this here? I wonder." And I walked into the office there. Some guy was like, "Hi, how do you work here? This seems kind of cool." And he hung up the phone and he goes, "Who are you?" I said, "My name's Sarah Burke. Sorry, I'd like to work here, I think." And he goes, "Go get your license at the New York Real Estate Institute and then come back." And I said, "Okay." And 2 weeks later, I walked back in. He wasn't there. His manager was there and was like, "Who are you?" And I said, "Oh, the guy James had told me to go get my license and to come back in 2 weeks. So here I am." And that is how I
1999. It was quite the interesting year. We're just at,
I think I did.
you know what? I did my coursework in 98 as well at NYU and continuing ed. The .com bubble literally just happening and
popping really fast.
Yeah. So you started as an assistant, or did you you just started pounding the pavement for rentals?
Agent. Yeah. Okay. They gave us a list of like 50 to 60 buildings. That was like our homework. Okay, go preview all these buildings. And I think it was like a test to see how many you could get into, talk your way into, because, the doorman ones were easy, key with doorman. And then the ones with the super, you had to go to like the management company office to get the key to go see the apartment. I mean, you talk to the super, find the super. Does he get into the apartment? We learned all those fun things. And that, though, I think you learn the product, you learn the city, you learn so much just running around, seeing everything, I think.
Absolutely. It's and you learn heartbreak and frustration and how to navigate the city
And
tremendously.
I think too that how many people have had to go find themselves an apartment? Everyone, I think. So once you've done it like once or twice, and you're sort of like, oh, there's a lot that goes into it.
Mhm.
I think people forget, and it's not as easy as you think either.
No. So how did you then get into new development? What was that? Uh, what was the journey to, really creating iconic and signature projects that changed the face of these neighborhoods?
So it was, I guess I was prepared, and then the moment happened where literally the person who had owned this company at the time, came in the office one morning as I normally did, getting ready to like, okay, we had ups and like we'd get
Oh, right. Ups.
like you, because there were ads in the paper and then people would call in and you get ready. And he's like, what are you doing today? I was like, well, I was here. I have my uptime. I have appointments at lunch. And have you ever thought about doing new development? And I said, I've never thought about it actually. Tell me about it. And he goes, well, I would have you work on this one project only because there's 207 units. It's not built. And I said, well, that sounds really interesting. I'd love to hear more. He goes, well, can you go over there now? And he literally dropped me in the middle of a construction site. And he's like, great, you have the job.
So this is like your world is about to change.
I was,
Hold on.
and I was standing there. I was like, there's no walls. There's no anything. I'm on a floor. There's concrete and some framing, and that's it. And they're like, there's some appointments coming in. I said, are you
Oh, wait, really?
Yeah. Wow. I just had to figure it out. I think that first step.
Or you're Gen X, so you are born with the know-how how to do that.
They had me a stacking plan
Mhm.
in a piece of, a little like plastic folder. And I was like, okay, packet of floor plans. And we're going to figure out the fifth floor. I did rent something that day. I think those people were so nice and kind because I wasn't sure if I rented them the right apartment. I would not lie. It was fun.
Wow. So, and this is a time before development really ramped up then, right? You were talking about 2003, 2004?
That's when I consider that really big development wave happened. And I think that was when condo ownership also sort of revamped in my eyes. And that's also when I went to Brooklyn.
Got it. Yeah, because I remember I was an assistant for two agents, 99 to 2003.
Yeah.
And so that was just around 2002 is when we started to see all the big new developments.
Yeah, and some cranes going up, and them. I think it was before 21A.
Right, exactly, because now it's expired, and
that started a good wave. And then I said there was a couple of rezonings, right, that happened.
Absolutely.
In the early 2000s so I was also asked to manage actually at that company. So after I finished that building, they're like, do you manage brokers? And I said, sure. That sounds great.
So you were really able to ascend the ladder quickly because you just made it happen. You were forced to make it happen, and you made it happen.
I did. I figured it out. And I said, I think I took the experience of being a broker and I can relate. I had to do a deal just like everyone else. And, we lose a deal like everyone else. So you understand what a broker goes through.
If you don't have the comps, if you don't have the data to support what you're doing, that's how you learn to really leverage the comps, right?
Do you remember when OLR was invented?
Oh my gosh, of course.
Yeah.
Well, it was Real Plus.
Right.
Right. And then, I started at Corker where it was the DOS system,
right.
Where we were still doing, the cursor was blinking, and then I was part of a revolutionary beta programming of taxi and limo. And I'm like, wow, it's web-based. This is incredible.
I just remember we had to get a computer dedicated just to OLR because it had so much information on it that it couldn't do it, and it'd have to update it twice,
right?
Or something.
And then every time it did that, upload all the information that other brokers put in, erase all the information you just put in.
So uploaded everything else. And yes, it was really fun. But having data all of a sudden at your fingertips was really new.
Even with Street Easy in 2007, it wasn't the right information, but we could export the information. And
That was
show what we needed to show.
that I think also changed the new development landscape
It really did.
because everyone could see pictures of things again. And then, do some internet sleuthing and look and see if they even wanted to come see it. I feel like that changed a lot, right? People used to just come to see it because they were imagining what it looked like based on some scribble in a newspaper.
Right.
And you had to decode things like what WUFTDM meant or an FT lockup for
Okay.
ST full-time
Right.
DM, right?
Now I'm going back to those OLR days and like,
The abbreviations. Now,
DOTM.
yep. Or how about like walk up or the doorman or PTDM, part-time
Doorman.
all of those little acronyms that, existed.
So all of these wonderful experiences, what would you say, what are two of your favorite wins and why are they important to you?
Okay. Well, I have a couple of, I luckily have had a lot of wins, I think. I have a couple of projects I'm very proud of, that I think did well, even in really hard times. The Edge did well, even during very struggling times. The financial crash happened in 2000.
It was starting to close, I think, right at the time the Caledonia did, like right at the precipice.
Yes. And no, we were launching sales at the,
we were doing close. Okay.
And then, 40 Bleecker was a privilege because of, talk about getting an amazing team. And then I said, you don't have to value engineer even a screw. That's always really fun.
And it was stunning.
You get to have
Adam Corbin, I mean, just the design, just everything about the project oozes. If that's right. We're like just exclusivity and true luxury. I love the design. I just felt like
we tried hard on that. Like that was, we spent a lot of time on that thinking, and we really did try and pull together the right team. And sometimes you can go through like the list of your obvious and you'll meet with them and say, yeah, they'll all do a great job. They're all talented. But sometimes like this neighborhood is special and maybe.
Well, it was, you were really gentrifying that little portion and COVID was in the mix towards the end.
Oh, in the middle. I said in the middle. We were in our sales gallery and we were over 50% in contract. Thank goodness. I think that was gave everyone a breath, but those were funny phone calls and funny times. And I remember, having to get on the phone with a couple of brokers who had deals and just saying I don't know what's happening right now.
Yeah.
They just made us all leave.
Well, you're with a dream team, Eckling Gomes, Ryan Corbin.
The Broad Street, best developers to have working with you because they're on your side. They have an ethos of it all has to lead to sales. Like if we can't sell this to these units and people don't want to buy them, what are we doing here then? That's, we're here to sell these and we want to create a product that people want to buy and hold and live in. It's
one of my favorite people, John Albino, to go through and really shepherd through, just a true icon, right? He matched the building because
he does. He also has such a great way of, he's in the know, I always say, of the moment, right? I said, I'm a little bit more I'm a mom and, I stay up on things, but he is still living in the moment and what is cool right now and really is wonderful at articulating it and pulling in these amazing threads to weave a beautiful blanket for you. And
to be the tastemaker of what's coming next.
Yeah.
It's always impressive.
He's always telling me about this is what's in the future stuff. This is about to be the coolest thing ever. You just didn't know it yet. That's what I said. And I think that all of those people, I think people don't realize the teams that go into.
Right.
And when we talk about teams again, I think it starts from a development or the pre-development marketing teams. And the sales teams for the projects are all part of these teams. And then applying it to a resale team of the roles that everyone played.
I mean, it really, I always like to compare it to, because I was an actor as well. I say it's just like putting on a show, right? It's no matter what you're doing, it's all the same folders. It's just a different filing cabinet. Mm-hmm. This industry has this, and maybe some of the little names will change, but you still have the set designer, the producer, the developer,
Yeah. I think people are asking, do you feel that AI is going to take over that part yet. And I said, I think that AI will do a lot for staff, but real estate is still really local and really personal.
So AI is going to replace the agents that aren't using AI in their business.
Maybe.
Right? Because you're able to train AI and utilize it for the tasks that you need to
accomplish.
And I was just presenting at Compass last Tuesday. And wow, what Compass is planning for you is just really, really exciting with Compass AI.
It's great. I mean, it does blow your mind. That's all I can say is it does blow your mind. It's wonderful. I would love the ability. I say it's like the Tony Stark of AI real estate.
Yeah.
Voice activated, working within the platform for itself. I was like, I'll feel
the Cylons are coming.
Yeah. Right.
I'm a big Battlestar Galactica fan, but
Skynet is the other one I quote sometimes. The robots are coming.
So any transformational losses that impacted your business or life that
I think people along the way, we've lost a couple of great people that have been some mentors and things like that makes you pause. I think major life, the city having, 9/11, COVID.
right.
I think the evolution of Manhattan and Brooklyn can be wonderful and a little sad, just as everybody, I remember the clubs, I loved that. And yet at the same time, I don't miss people throwing up outside of them.
No.
In the morning, I don't.
No, not at all. I mean, yeah, I miss some of those days at times of the Roxy back in the day, but I have to admit, I really love looking at Thomas Heatherwick's Lantern House. I think it's quite beautiful. And I think people are having a much better time in that location now than they were back then.
Yeah. I do like the combination though. Yeah. I think the city it still offers that is the grit and the glam. That's what I say. The high-low, the naughty.
The culture will still find its way to shine through, just in different lenses through different generations.
Well, and when you look back at sort of like the punk scene or like the club scene, that usually is the segue and the maker of the next artist or
a neighborhood and what's going to.
I say it's pretty intrinsic and really important to neighborhoods and people. I've been in Williamsburg for now over 20 years. I've raised two kids there. People are like, oh, you were an original hipster. I guess so. I had a trucker hat. It created in for a bugaboo at a certain point with some, stroller. But that neighborhood too, we had art galleries that were hidden, little gem restaurants that popped up. And I think that fed the desire for more people to live there. The rezoning helped us build some more housing there. And the L train being one stop all kind of led to a big boom.
It's all about providing access and just things change. And when it gets better, when you make things more conducive for development, it changes the landscape of.
Yeah, that was when we got to buy our first home was like in 2003. And I was like in my late 20s, newly married, no kids. We did not have a ton of money. We had saved up the down payment. And it was like when you could like cough and get a mortgage. But, we were responsible people. We bought our first apartment, 10% down, 6.25% mortgage rate, which was
high, a little high, but still
we refinanced twice 2 years later.
Oh, really? Yeah. Wow.
But I just when we first got it, we thought 6.
Yeah, I guess that was a little bit low at the time because on average it's 5 to 6. So they were much higher.
Now, yeah, they were low then. That was 6.25 was like a great deal. Then it started going down more. We refinanced it. I think it was like maybe 4.8. Not that much longer, but then we bought a second place too.
Oh.
So we were able to take some equity out of that and then buy something else, a bigger place when we found out we were having our first child. But that neighborhood growing, we would not have been able to buy that apartment or qualify, I think, for that apartment if it hadn't been for a 421A tax abatement that existed on that condo.
Really was beneficial. Yeah. I mean, truly changed the lives of so many people. So if you look at your career, what is one of the main through lines of your success? What would you say is that driving act or habit that you do that
Building, I focus on doing good work with good people. That's what I keep saying.
you come back to a mission statement, and that's really important. So I love that you bring it full circle and bring it back to that.
Yeah, because the industry how we do it might change a little bit. There might be a new program that makes something easier. But at the end, the work still is in its basic form the same after 20 years.
Well, if you are working with bad people, it's hard to do good work, right? Because you touch on it's so simplistic, but yet so hard when you think of some of the players that have come in and out of the game and prison during our time, and
they've taught us so much, though. We've learned so much.
Well, and that you have to take the high road. That if you want to do a good job and be in this for the long haul, it's important to make those right relationships. And
I probably left some money on the table along the way, but that's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
Definitely okay.
I'm okay with it. I think I said I also have to be able to sleep at night, look yourself in the mirror every day.
Yeah.
But there is intrinsically something I find really gratifying to see a building get built all the way, from paper and a drawing to a building that then people go and live in, and then seeing it operation, and it becomes like a living, breathing organism, part of the city. And I find that to be extremely rewarding and gratifying. I love seeing that. It's a beginning, a middle, and an end, which I think sometimes some things don't always feel that way.
Right. That literally you're giving birth to this new entity.
Yeah.
And it just continues day after day after day. And
he sent him off to college. It's good. Is it? And the rental landscape too, I think is more interesting and could change things interestingly right now. The Fair Act, while a lot of noise, has, I think, changed the way listing inventory, though, is presented to people. And I think that that's actually at the end the harm to the consumer right now.
So, okay, you went there. Let's discuss then how have recent events and I guess the passing of certain bills and
Local.
where it's not just local, because we have the Fair Act in New York City, with renters not having to pay the broker fee. It's on the onus of the landlord.
The broker pays the broker. That's how I'm phrasing it now. So,
which is much easier. And then
it's a good explanation. It doesn't mean that a renter cannot hire a broker and pay them a fee. They just
but that's just not what the common knowledge is of people think on the street. So,
and it's interesting. So somebody who I work with, who first I got contacted by somebody who ChatGPT recommended me to be their broker.
Really interesting. Okay,
that was fascinating. I said, okay, now I'm taking your call, because what? Apparently, she was relocating from the Midwest and typed in ChatGPT, please recommend and compare, 2 great brokers for me to use for my move to New York. And she recommended me and somebody else, and they did a compare and contrast. She sent me a screenshot.
Wow.
I guess it recommended me, they said, because she also loves dogs, knows dog buildings and dog-friendly places, has new development experience. I guess she must have asked. The ChatGPT must have known she liked new stuff.
So those buyer profiles and bios are extremely important.
Yes.
To hit the CEO and all the right words. And
yes, I said, upload your resume into your ChatGPT and have it do a little audit for you, because I think that it is memorizing it and then remembering all those features about you. So when pairing you in some way, it's probably the future of dating as well. It'll probably tell you who your soulmate is.
Right.
I call it a her. ChatGPT. Okay. She's my best friend sometimes. She tells me all the right things. When I'm nervous about something, she'll give me a little pump up.
Who knew that Joaquin Phoenix movie with Johansson, would literally be our lives very, very soon. So we started down the topic of events that have great impact on the brokerage community, no matter where you're living. So for instance, we had the NAR lawsuits last year,
Yes.
which it's all about buyer representation. One could say that things really didn't change because they've always had that opportunity. It's just now it's more transparent of what can happen.
I think it's harder. It's a harder topic in New York City specifically because we never did things like that.
Unless you were a rental agent that you wanted to get paid, you made them sign the rental. I'm seeing this property, so I get the commission for that.
More, I think really what people forgot was the invitation of compensation to the other broker. And where people forgot was like, it used to be up to the broker to make the offer of compensation. It was not necessarily a conversation with the seller to say, hey, if I do have a broker friend who has a buyer and will you compensate them and how much? It was up to me. So you're signing as the seller would sign an exclusive with me and then I was deciding.
Right.
And that is in everywhere else. That's an inherent conflict, I would say. Sure.
But as long as the people knew that you always had that option to negotiate at any point, but you're right, it was lost on
I think that
the regular
nuance was lost. And in New York City, because we actually never were like the pass-through. So I wasn't collecting the commission and then paying it to you. We would have the checks were cut at closing and the seller knew that Eric from XYZ Realty brought the buyer and was getting paid 2.5% or 3%, and you're paying me that. And these are separate things. So that I think those practices were different here, and therefore it was not as much of a shock to some people's systems. But it is an interesting conversation.
Have you seen an impact on any of your sellers of not paying the other side?
No, but it is interesting that, and I agree with them that we've had these conversations. Make an offer. They are not opposed at all to compensating a buyer's agent, but for how much and at what number?
You don't get what you don't ask for. As I tell every buyer, I'm like, just ask for it. Let's do it. Let's see what the response is, and then we'll base our decision upon the response. But
absolutely, and I think too that when you have a seller who gets an offer of the number they want, and you're saying, I want this commission, this is what I'm going to earn. This is all part of the conversation.
Right.
And, you talk about incentives that developments offer and these kind of things. These are all conversations.
Incentives, concessions, I guess it depends upon what side of the fence you're on.
Exactly. That's exactly. Incentive is a concession. It just depends who's saying it.
Which side of the financial statement, a liability or your asset. So
exactly.
Which it's funny. Nobody ever teaches that when you're in real estate early on, where somebody, oh no, I'm just going to pay all cash for this and then get my mortgage. Mm-hmm. And when I had a buyer do that once, I'm like, I don't understand. Like, oh, because now it's an asset, it's not a liability, and you're coming from a moment of strength, and you don't have to worry about the co-op board granting you permission.
Yeah,
so
it's amazing. I know. I said actually, I was in preparation for this. I think one of the questions you asked was like, talk about the first deal you did, or something like that, or remember your first deal. And I said, I think my first sale was, and it was also the first and last co-op deal.
Wow.
Co-op board package. It's so intense and onerous. And it was this like lovely couple. I remember they got rejected from one and we had to go to a second one. And because he was a doctor and had medical school debt was how they were rejecting him. And I was like, how do you become a doctor and don't go to medical school now? I mean, this is silly now. But
wow. But they look at the algorithm, right? You have that succinct, no, you must match what we say. And there's no there. I'm sure.
This is ridiculous. It was a great learning experience too, because there was another, I remember, apartment that the finances because it was a land lease. So I learned all about condops in that transaction too, because they fell in love with something. It was like a great deal. I was like, the maintenance is so high. Why is this? And it's because, there's a land lease but you learn as you go.
Oh, and as you go, and does that land lease automatically reset? Is it automatically able to roll over into another 99 years? Or what is the escalation of that land rent?
And all sorts of major capital improvements, right? Common charge assessments versus, one-time assessments versus just raising.
Yeah.
All sorts of things.
But, and I could be wrong because I haven't checked this for maybe 5-6 years. There's never been a land lease that's reverted back to its owner in Manhattan. I don't know about the other.
So not that I can think of. I mean, I know we've seen some.
I worked at Related and I did 445 Lafayette.
Right.
And so that was a conduct because it was built on the land from Cooper Union. So in that's where I learned, I knew about land leases, but that's where David Wine said, nothing has ever reverted back to its original landowner. And in all of London, for the most part, is all land lease, but it's for the crown. So I don't think they're going to demand that back anytime soon.
Interesting. Well, and I was just saying, when it does happen, it actually doesn't necessarily revert back. It goes to being a rent stabilized housing. I was just reading that if
I don't know if every
yeah, I don't know.
Interesting.
That's like a good lawyer question because I was just reading up on that there's something in there that when a co-op becomes not a co-op anymore, it goes then and becomes rent stabilized housing.
Interesting.
And they were talking about this from the co-op on the Upper East Side right now.
There is a major one at 100 West, I believe, 57th Street.
Yeah.
56, 57. Yeah, it's the White Elephant building yes, it's quite interesting.
So that'll be sort of the first case study when it does happen.
Well, they'll probably sell it, or I'll stop there because I don't know specifically. I have someone from my church that actually lives in the building and she was telling me some stories. But she's like, I'm from London. I don't understand how this works. We bought it 25 years ago, and I guess, it's been a great pied a terre.
Right. And everyone he pledged owns property this way. I don't understand. Yeah, it's funny. There are a lot of little nuances here.
Yeah.
I was explaining to somebody like the Department of Building and Department of Finance, who's not from here, and how you have to go to the Department of Buildings for certain things, but the Department of Finance does the taxes. You don't talk to each other.
Ever.
And sometimes they do totally different things.
Yeah.
And you don't know who to believe because they're both real entities that you should trust what they say. I don't know.
Well, Sarah, let's play the gratitude game. This is Rose, Thorn, Bud, but we're agent brew here, so we like to give a little flair of coffee. So we do the aroma, the brew, the grinds, and then also the fresh beans. So the aroma, it's, you just grinded the beans in the morning. The aroma is wafting through the air. What gets you out of bed?
My clients. I actually very lucky to say, because I have my mantra of work with good people, that I have really great clients that I love working with. And I enjoy going to my meetings with them. I love to be in a construction site. Everybody knows that's actually my favorite is my hard hat time. I love a hard hat tour. And that does get me up in the morning. I every night I go to bed thinking about what do I get to do tomorrow. So that's a big aroma for me. So
then the brew, the actual coffee, it's what sustains you through the day. What is your why?
My construction sites, it's never boring, right? What we do is not boring. It's never the same day.
Never.
I've never had the same day twice.
Except for just stress.
Well, there's some stress. Listen, anytime you're helping anybody buy, sell, there's a lot of money on the line. There's a lot of pieces of paper. There's a lot of balls in the air, moving parts. And our job is to try and herd the cats, try and keep everything in the same pit, try and keep people going in the right direction just to get everyone to that finish line. So, it's never the same, I say. And I think that's a blessing. I wouldn't want to do the monotony. And the other thing, I do have great joy in seeing other people's success. So
that's important.
I have loved working with some brokers, like some brokers who started as an assistant and now are extremely successful top team leaders that, are, just killing it. I say they're killing it. And I love seeing that success and knowing that I have maybe a little bit of help for them, maybe I was there to give them some, calm in a storm,
right?
Help them come up with a business plan, remind them that even though this deal died, there's another one, and that this client, we will find them something. You will get them a house or a home. Developer will get a C of O, hopefully.
So the fresh grinds, that could be the thorn in your side because they're messy. Sometimes they spill everywhere. Are there any frustrations right now that you're having? Or obstacles that you're trying to?
I think that there's a lot of noise right now, sometimes around a lot of things, but technologies and
Elections
and things like that. I mean, somebody was calling me about, the election, and I said, you know, I've lived here a long time now. I said, after you've gone through a couple other things, like one mayoral election is not the make or break of something sometimes,
I mean, because we almost had that in the 70s, right? So they pulled away a lot of those responsibilities and opportunities for leadership that, nope, we're stripping you of that because past.
I think some of the little things that go on sometimes in the city that, some of the little crimes. I mean, listen, right now, what really gets me is I still can't walk into a drugstore pretty much anywhere and just like grab some deodorant. It's extremely, it just takes more time. Right. Like I can't just run in somewhere for 10 minutes to like grab 3 things. It requires buttons and people and keys. And so that's actually like a big thing for me right now. It's a grind. And I say, like, I don't want to order stuff always on Amazon. Like,
I know. I just want to go to the store today. And even though it'll still arrive probably faster than I can get it or get there.
So that's part of so that's kind of the grind right now in general right now for me.
So then the fresh beans, the bud, what are you looking forward to? Is there a project you'd like to talk about or?
I am very excited. I have a couple of projects with a couple of my favorites. That are they're starting. One that's just tapped out in Williamsburg.
Oh, okay.
23 unit condo. It's a couple of rental things that I'm actually working on that are in the Pike. One in Manhattan, one in Brooklyn. They're both further out. And then a Manhattan conversion condo boutique.
Ooh.
Perhaps
what neighborhood?
That Tribeca, and perhaps with some of that Boogies teams that we've heard of before.
Interesting. I can't wait to.
Yeah, so those are all exciting things I am working on. And that is and those are labors of love, as you know.
Yeah. So I like to end the show always with the same question. It's my favorite part of the episode. If you could tell your young agent self, Sarah Burke, a piece of advice, not a new agent today, but this is you yourself, what would it be?
You're in business? No. I should, because when you start in real estate and everyone says you go to your sphere, and my sphere was all actors and they didn't have a lot of money. Everyone was poor. And so I joked that all of my friends who had gone to like Stern, who went into real estate, had a great, their sphere was a little different.
Yeah.
No, but I digress. I said I probably would have kept a better CRM back then. I don't think that when I first started, I realized really kind of
the importance.
Yeah. And also the people that I had met and helped along the way to stay in touch with. I mean, I did have some people I stayed in touch with and I did have repeat clients, but it wasn't as prevalent back then. I didn't have that mentality of like renters turn into buyers.
Right. And just staying in contact, even if it's just 3 times a year or one postcard, it really matters. And I don't think people really understood.
I don't think it was even as much of a thing back then. Like we had Rolodexes for people, but
yeah, it was called an assistant was your CRM AI that like, oh, here's all the.
I was my own assistant. I mean, I had like a 3-ring notebook with people in it, and I organized them by bedroom count. Here's the 1-bedroom people, 2-bedroom, and then by address or alphabetical. Right. I mean, I said even every CRM, I still think of people though in like apartment numbers and addresses. So like I know that person lives in this apartment at this address, and when I sold them, I might even know their dog's name. I did not remember their last name right now.
Right. Those are the little details that sometimes. But you remember everything about the transaction.
Yep.
And
I remember everything about the apartment. I remember like what's behind the walls of the apartment. I remember any special worker changes we had to do. all of those things.
The special provisions folder was always something that we had it related that.
Hand off back
Yeah.
books, and punch lists. I love actually punch lists.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. So I end every episode with a positive quote and motivation. So today I always like to listen to the conversation to figure out what actually works best.
Act as if it were impossible to fail.
I love that.
Dorothea Brand. It's a good one.
And so the one I'm giving you today, to any entrepreneur, if you want to do it now. If you don't, you're going to regret it. So if you've got that work, this is Catherine Cook. So to any entrepreneur, independent contractor, if you want to do it now. If you don't, you're going to regret it.
Yeah.
And so with that, we say thank you to Sarah Burke of Compass Real Estate for being our guest this week. It's been a pleasure, and we look forward to seeing you continually climb the ladder of success, and we'll look for those new projects coming.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
And so thank you to our viewers and guests for another great episode of Agent Brew. I'm your host, Eric Zollinger, reminding you it's a great day for real estate. The Agent Brew podcast is brought to you by Realtyco. Realtyco is your partner in real estate, bringing you game-changing benefits and services to empower your business. Visit realtyco.com for more information.